All right, so I hope you enjoyed that first part. We'll try to keep it interesting, and I'll move into the subject of my raison de vivre, my reason to get out of bed, philosophy, you know, um, spirituality, spiritual philosophy. It all started with an interest in the tarot cards, right? One thing led to another, and I end up with the Stoics, right? Ancient philosophers. Um, after Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, these Hellenistic philosophers developed. Stoics started with Zeno, maybe 350 BC, something like that. And then you may have heard of Marcus Aurelius and Seneca. But the guy I landed on was Epictetus. He was a former slave who was freed by his master as he showed some intellectual ability. And so Epictetus talks about virtue, right, as being the most important thing. And see, the Stoics are all about how to get through life with as little stress as possible. Okay, they're not seeking happiness, right? I don't chase happiness. I think that's a false goal, is to try to be happy. Well, what's happy? They like having happy feet, or giddy, or what? Who wants to be happy? You know, content is good, or as the Greeks would call it, eudaimonia, to be in good spirits, right? So Epictetus, a Roman, would talk about how if you want to achieve this eudaimonia, right, the first thing you do is you lead a virtuous life, right? You treat others with honesty, integrity, firm handshake, be a man of your word, do the right thing, you know, and then you can attempt to try to achieve some form of eudaimonia, right? And this notion of virtue stuck with me. This is something that I never really got to know about me. Um, I don't care if I can pay the bills or not. I don't care if I have to sleep in a tent. If I lead a virtuous life, things will work out, you know. And this is has to do with this word I have back here, haminja. That is a Icelandic word, and it has to do with the notion of luck and how it relates to virtue. Okay, I learned from Epictetus to lead a virtuous life just because that's the right thing to do, you know, for no other reason, not for any accolades or any reward or any, recognition. Just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Come to find out that this Icelandic notion of haminja says that if you do that, then good luck will tend to follow you, right? So you still act virtuously because it's the right thing to do, but just as kind of a byproduct, um, might actually receive some good luck in the process. So we'll go back to the cards. I abandoned the tarot cards a couple years ago. I don't like them. They're too creepy. You can't bring tarot cards with you to a bar or to a party or to someone's house. You know, it's going to freak people out. They're huge, and they're just ugly, right? So I've adopted some of the themes of the tarot cards, not in the form of trying to predict the future or anything like that, but just as like kind of a roadmap to how certain things in the universe work, you know, or life lessons, let's say, whatever. And I've adopted those notions to regular deck of playing cards, you know, and this is my gig now. This is part of my spiritual philosophy study, is to try to find messages in the cards, you know. And like I said before, not to try to predict the future, but really just to try to figure things out, you know. And this is the notion that I've come up with on the different meanings of the suits. Okay, the clubs would represent spirit, the spades, truth, the hearts, love, and the diamonds would be the mundane, you know, matter. And that's the subject of my research right now. I also look into general seeking of truth. You know, I read a lot about uh, what the bad guys are doing, you know, to try to control us, right? We all know there's a group out there of incredibly wealthy international bankers that kind of have their hand in just about every aspect of our lives. And I try to study, you know, their forms of deception and things like that. But, you know, really I'm all about truth. And I've got my little side gig here on how to figure out messages that are portrayed in a regular deck of playing cards. You know, talk about that another time. But I'll show you my current collection of cards. Let's see. I collect them. I'm measuring my net worth in terms of decks. There we are. Nice. All right. On my limited income, I'm able to purchase some decks from time to time, and that's my collection. Right. Um, it's a lot of fun for me, and I really get into it. Um, here's some of my decks. Show you. I really love the cards. Let's see if we can. My favorite deck is the Pharaoh edition. Regular bicycles. Pharaoh was a game they played in the Old West before blackjack was around. No indexes, no numbers in the corners. Right? Love this deck. Because when you're just laying cards out on the table, you don't need to see the numbers. There's the Joker on this deck. Love it. All right. Your face cards are all the same, just with no index, they call them. So I'm trying to collect as many of these as I can. I've got 4 of them unopened, 3 just like I showed you, and then this one, it's got the gilded edges. All right, we're going to keep those locked up. Got a lot of different decks here. Bicycles are always good. Some casuals. All right, tally-hos are excellent cards to use. They're made by the same people that make the bicycles. These are nice cards. Here we got your one-handed cut. Yeah, see if we can do that a little better. I'm trying to look at the screen. There's your one-handed cut. Here's your scissor cut. Let me do that. Cut. Oh. we'll try to show you some cuts later on. Anyway, really into the cards and how they relate to my study of philosophy, study of spirituality. It's my little hobby, and I like it. What gets me out of bed. And so I got to come up with some more ideas on how to make an actual income. Trying to work on some things on the computer, maybe a YouTube channel. Once I can nail down all of my correspondences to the playing cards, what each card means to me, maybe I can try to teach others how to read the cards, how to read messages into the cards. Not necessarily, I've said it a few times, I don't want to try to predict the future. I'm not going to lay the cards on the table and tell somebody that they're going to get divorced in 3 years, or their uncle's going to die, or they're going to meet a tall, dark stranger. Trying to get into that kind of stuff is dangerous. If you're going to try to predict someone's future, you better be right, because they might make decisions based on what you tell them. So really, I just like to try to find a life lesson in the way the cards are laid out, and maybe give someone some insight on how to become a better person. That's my gig. So that's where I'm at. And the last thing I really wanted to say is that with your brother's passing, it really affected me, because I wasn't able to really let him know what I'm all about, why I've abandoned material lifestyle, some of the things that makes me tick. I wasn't able to communicate that to him. So really, your brother's life and death have now elevated him in my mind to, more than just a guy, more than just an old friend. He's become the reason for me to straighten out and to finally seek some eudaimonia, some peace of mind, some, to be in good spirits, and to find a way to just support myself, without having to struggle all the time. He's what you would say would be the muse, the driving force. I feel like if I can't be productive and lead a good life, then I've let him down, and I think that's the main thing I'd like to tell you, is that I'm doing this for my own sake, but I'm doing it to glorify Ian's life. I live to glorify God, and now I'm going to try to glorify Ian too, because I wasn't able to tell him some of these things while he was alive, and that's my fault. I should have kept in better touch. But if I can become a better person and start to lead a better life, be responsible and productive, and maybe even meet a nice woman and have a family, and having a family might be a stretch. I'm 51 years old. I'd have to meet someone, what, mid-30s? Maybe someplace like Eastern Europe. I got to straighten out before I try to worry about meeting the right woman. But, I think I'm on the right path. I'm going to continue with philosophy, spirituality, and number one, just lead a virtuous life. I think good luck will tend to follow me. Although, as I've said, lead a virtuous life just because, because that's the right thing to do. So I wanted to convey that message to you, and I hope you get a better idea of where I'm at in my head and in my life. And I would like to keep in touch. I'm hoping at some point I can take a trip down to New York, and maybe we can have lunch or something together. That would be great. And so I'm going to cut off part 2 right now. You can give me a quick reply on email, just how you felt about the video. And I'll make another one for you soon. I want to keep you updated. And like I said, I'm going to try to straighten out for Ian. Like somehow make him proud of me, because I know he didn't die proud of me. And I want to see if I can straighten that out. So, David, you're a great guy, and I'm glad that we are able to keep in touch. I hope you like these videos, and you can expect another one from me when I get to the new place. All right, so we'll talk to you soon.